For Delta Math, when we're doing volume of rectangular prisms and cylinders, I talk about pancakes a lot. Okay, anytime I talk about volume, I tend to talk about pancakes. My bad. Sorry, it's just the way I teach it to my students. So I want you, because you tend as students to get caught up in the labels and wait, which one's my length and which one's my base and which one's my height, it just gets confusing. So if you can look at the visual and figure out what's happening, that's going to make it a lot easier for you. Okay, so typically what we have when we talk about volume is something that's three-dimensional. You typically take a flat two-dimensional shape, you find its flat area, and you stretch it out, making it 3D, giving it volume all of a sudden. Most of the time, those are going to be prisms. That's one shape that gets stretched out, like a triangle, triangular prism, or a rectangular prism, or a cylinder, which is just a circle prism. Okay, so when you do that, you're going to find that shape that got stretched out. I could do a hand prism. I could just take a hand shape and stretch it out as well, right? I could do I don't know, like a square prism. So you could take a square and you could stretch that square out as well. So if you understand what is happening and you can visualize that, that is going to make a big difference. So this one is a cylinder. So imagine you have a pancake, okay? And it has a base diameter. This my base diameter is 20. And the height is 8, which means you have a pancake that's on the bottom, that's a circle, and then we take a height, we stack it 8 pancakes high. So what we do is we find the area of that bottom circle pancake and then just multiply it by 8, 8 pancakes in that stack. All right, so I'm gonna go like this. That's the height. Now, sometimes your cylinder, your stack of pancakes can kind of fall down. It can be sideways. That's why the labels can throw you really off. So you have to just, again, take whatever shape was the flat shape that got stretched out and multiply it in that direction to get that prism. So if the diameter is 20, I know that my radius is half of that, so that's 10. So the radius is 10, and I know that because I'm a math teacher, that the area of a circle equals pi times the radius squared. So that's something they'll typically give you that formula, but if they don't, then you need to know that. Also, you can Google it really quickly. It's a pretty popular one. Okay, pi r squared, pi times r is going to be that, that area. So pi times 10 times 10, or 100 pi, right? 10 times 10 is 100. 100 pi is that flat pancake. Multiply that by 8, okay, that's 800 pi. And that's the whole volume of that cylinder, okay? Now they give it to you in a slightly different version. Like, it doesn't really, honestly, the order doesn't totally matter. But again, they said, oh, the diameter is 20, so the radius is 10, pi r squared, and then we stacked it by 8. So pi r squared, this is when I talked about my pancake was 100 pi, and then we stacked it by 8, 800 pi. So you could do 800 times 3.14, or you could do, you could find the 100 pi and then multiply by 8. The order doesn't matter when you're multiplying or adding, right? You can switch the order up a little bit. They were pretty precise here. I use 3.14 for pi. You'll be fine if you do that too. They got pretty precise. And then they rounded to the nearest tenths place, because they say in the problem, let me go back for a second. It says to the nearest tenths place, and you need to know where that is. It's the first spot after the decimal. Okay, I always tell my students, if that, wherever that decimal is, okay, if you put a 1 under it, then a 0 for every number, that'll help remind you where that spot is. So this is the 10th place, this is the 100th place, this is the 1000th place, and so on. Okay, and it's an old trick, it's a good one. Okay, so then we're doing another one. So a different shape of pancakes now, not traditional circle pancakes to make a stretched out cylinder. Okay, this one is a rectangular prism. So again, just imagine you have a rectangle and it gets stretched out. So something like that, okay? Sorry, not the best stack. And this one, my stack fell over, okay? I could also redraw that going up, it doesn't really matter. Whatever shape got stretched is the one you find that flat front, and then you stretch it out. You find that bottom flat, and you stack it up. Either way works. So this one says the rectangular prism has a height of 7 and a width of 10. So let's say 7 and 10, not drawn to scale, okay? And a length of 9. So length is going to almost always be the stacking or the stretching part of our shape. So 7 times 10, that's 70. So that flat rectangle pancake is 70 square flat inches. I was not looking at my unit earlier. 70 times 9 stacked out 9 pancakes, 9 rectangle pancakes that fell over. Okay. If it helps you to visualize it, you can look at something like that. Okay. They fell over that direction. So 70 times 9 is going to give you your volume. Okay? And when you go ahead and plug that in a calculator, you write that out, you get 690. And it's not square inches anymore. We went from being flat to 3D when we stretched it out or stacked it. And when you have a 3D label, it's going to have a little 3 in the corner just to help you know what to do. That's not any math that you need to do. That's just a part of the label so that you know you're talking about a 3D shape.